All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So hopefully everybody set up their API Nation account. What we're going to do is this allows you to download all of your past loops from .loop to your local computer. So I'm going to use Dropbox. This can also be done with Google Drive. There's a couple other options. The reason you do this is just so you have a local copy. I don't know what it's going to look like once we terminate the contract, what kind of access you'll have with .loop. If you're going to continue to use .loop, you're fine. But if you're going to go over to DocuSign, you may want to have a copy on your hard drive, and that's what we're setting up today. It's really easy. Like I said, last time I set it up, it took 7 minutes, and it works really well. So hopefully everybody was able to set it up. If not, I think you're seeing my screen right now. You should see the sign up free button up here. You can sign up for a free account. I think there's a limit on the number of contracts it'll sync, so you will have to pay for it. But I believe for an agent, it's $5 a month. So if you set this up and ran it until we cross over, it's $10 or $15. And if you just sync everything you already have in there and stop using it, it's $5. So I think it's definitely worth the price. All right, so I've already set up an account. I'm gonna use Gail Long to test, and I set up this account. I thought I did. Nope, I set it up under me. Okay. All right, so you'll log into your account, and the first thing you'll see is this list of API integrations. You're going to click .loop. And then I had tied it to Dropbox. You can also use Google Drive. I think it's a different price for Google Drive, but honestly, I just prefer Dropbox. So that's step one. We're going to connect .loop. And it's going to ask you to sign in. Nope, not Amy. There we go. Approve. Okay, and then I'm going to connect Dropbox. And we got Gail. And I'm going to sign in. Hello. Okay. So it's going to ask you, it kind of tries to help you set up your account. So you're going to sync all existing loops in my .loop account, and you're syncing in an individual profile, .loop via API Nation, and then you can start free trial. Oh God.
Sorry, Michael, it has to be Dropbox?
It doesn't have to be. You can use Dropbox or I believe Google Drive.
Because I use everything in Google, so.
Okay. You can do it. I think Google is a higher price, if I remember.
Okay. So I have to do, okay. Understand.
So it looks like they use Stripe for the payment, and they're going to take your credit card whenever you first set up the account. It's worth the $5. And if you don't pay for it, I believe it like limits you to 10 contracts or something like that. It will take a while to sync this if you have a lot of contracts in .loop, because it'll only do, I believe, 50 per hour, and it'll just keep syncing until there are none left, and then it'll keep syncing. So if you add a new contract in .loop, you don't have to reset all this up. It's just going to continue running until you stop it. So it's set up our sync right now. We're done. It's in the background syncing. Both our accounts are tied into it. It's going to go into .loop, grab all of our loops, and create a folder within Dropbox for those loops. Once you're done with it, if you toggle this switch off, that deactivates that, and they'll stop charging you. So I'm going to click on Active Workflows. And you can see it tells you workflow started, and it'll tell you each time it runs, pulled in 50, pulled in 20, however many contracts it pulls in. You can look at the settings here, and that'll show you which .loop account you have. And Gail, it looks like it actually got both of the accounts. And then what it does is it looks like here it automatically created a folder called .loop v API Nation. It's fine, you can move it later, or you can actually change this. And it's kind of weird, but if you say create new folder and then you just type in anything here, documents.
So it actually pulled both of my accounts because I had two accounts with .loop with two different emails.
Correct. Yeah. I
Okay.
think that's what the profile is. And then Keller Williams First Atlanta. Both of these are our accounts.
Yes. And so other people may have loops in two different accounts with .loop, so they may want to check that.
Correct. If you've ever had a co-op send you something through .loop and they use maybe the email address that's in FMLS, but it's not the email address that your .loop account was tied to, you can end up with two different accounts.
And I believe that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. And this will make it a lot easier than duplicating, than having to download it from each account.
Right. So I will not need to go back to .loop then and ask them to combine the two. It's already done.
Nope. If you're not going to continue with .loop, you're done. These will download your loops to your hard drive, and then you've got a copy of them, and then you don't have to work .loop anymore.
I've got a few transactions that I'm working on now, so I'm assuming they'll just stay there, and I'll probably just finish those up, and then probably going forward, just start with our new. Is it DocuSign?
Yeah, anything you started in .loop, you'll have to put the documents into command for review. But anything you started in .loop, you don't need to switch to e-signing and DocuSign. It may confuse your clients. It's just finish it out in whatever system you started it in.
I agree. Thank you, Michael.
No problem. It's very similar to Zapier. It's in that it's an API that touches it. I don't know exactly how Zapier works. I've used them in the past, but they're fine. I think Zapier fires on events though. So every time you create a new contract, where this one will pull in everything you've already done. It just goes into your account, lists all your loops, and starts syncing them. And I don't want to open Gail's Dropbox, but what it does is it creates a folder in there, and then each loop shows as a folder, and within each folder for each loop, if you have multiple folders in those loops, each of the documents will show up as their own folder within the loops folder. So it's organized. It doesn't just like throw all your PDFs in a single folder. It's really well done. We're really happy. But what we did find is whenever we pulled in, we tried to get everybody's stuff so you wouldn't have to worry about it. But what we found is anything that wasn't submitted to the brokerage, like if you didn't push submit, we didn't see it, and there was no way we could pull it in. So it's easier to just go out and in this way, it'll make sure that it got everything you had, because ours, I think it's almost 1 terabyte of data at this point of everybody, and just finding it is going to be kind of cumbersome. Did anybody have any questions?
Hey, I have a quick question. For some reason, when I'm reviewing everything and looking to sync everything, it only gives me the plan or the option to do a team plan, not the individual agent, which is $10.
It may be because, like, did you sign up for the team version of .loop?
No, oh yeah.
Yeah, I think if you've got that, like when I went in as the broker, it forced us to do the broker version. There was an option to do a personal version. So if you're looking at the initial trial setup thing, it may not allow you, but in here, when you first set it up, let me see. There used to be an option for, I think when you first create the integration, let me add another one. It'll ask you if this is an agent account or a broker account. It may ask you if it's a team account or a single agent account. And then and then you can do just the agent version, but you'll only have access to the loops that you own. So if somebody else brought you into a loop, I don't think you can download those. But if you were the person that created the loops, then you can download them.
I got you. Okay.
Hey, Michael, I apologize because you probably said this and I was trying to do this while you were talking.
Mhm.
And I'm doing Google Drive because I don't have a lot of space left in my Dropbox.
Okay.
Where did you say you'd see where it's running in the background so you know how far along the download is?
When you get, it's within API Nation.
Okay.
When you go to, now I'm lost. Hang on. If you click
Sorry.
on syncs,
Yep.
it'll show your active workflows.
Yep.
And when you click on the active workflow, the first thing that pops up is, I guess it looks like Trace, but it's your log.
Okay. So that's how you know
Yep,
where
and
it
you
is and when
can
you're done.
see how it says right here, workflow execution complete. What that means is it actually went in and it grabbed 50 documents.
Gotcha. Okay. And then since it's the monthly subscription, or at least that's what it is for the Google Drive, you're saying once you download everything, then you can disconnect and then
Yeah.
you'll have the copy, right?
Yep. So once
Cool.
you're done, like as soon as it finishes, you'll see, you won't see it on this, but we see it on ours. It says, no, it shows where it says, where it's green and says success, it'll be gray and it'll say like, everything's up to date, no documents retrieved,
Okay.
something along those lines. And then you'll know it finished. And if you're not continuing to do anything in .loop, you're done.
Awesome. Thank you very much. This is so
problem.
helpful.
Let's see, any other questions? I lost my chat window.
I have a question.
Mhm.
I know the screen says Brighton, that's my son's name. And my question is, to use Google Drive like my friend is doing it, what I need to do to download everything there?
So to use Google Drive, instead of connecting .loop, I'll show you. Instead of using .loop, you can do Google Drive. So let's do Setup Wizard. Nope, let's start over. Oh, sorry, I got out. All right, there we go. So if we do apps and we click .loop, and then we were to click Google Drive here instead of Dropbox,
Okay.
then you would have the option to do it. And right now, because I'm on a free account and in a free trial, it's giving me all the upgrade screens,
Okay.
but it works the same way.
Thank you.
Mhm. Where is the...
So, Michael, you were saying that if we are, whatever we're currently working on in .loop before we go into DocuSign, it'll automatically pull?
Yes, it'll pull anything, any documents you have that are in .loop. Yeah, it'll pull anything, because our biggest problem was when we stored the agent files in .loop, but they didn't, like, we never submitted them to anybody. So when I tried to pull everything with a broker, we didn't get any of those files. But whenever I signed in as the person that created those, it pulled them all down. It was very easy.
And then
It'll
close
sync.
out. And sorry, when we close out of .loop, when we cancel that contract, do you think we need to go in and cancel that $5 a month, or do you think it will automatically shut itself down because we're
You'll
not?
need to do it manually. Otherwise, it'll keep checking it even if it pulls in nothing.
Okay.
Because their thing is kind of like, well, you may add something later. And I did talk to the guys at API Nation, and they said that they can. Oh, where'd my screen go? They can get the. They even after, as long as the account is active. So even if this runs past our termination date, which is June 5th, they'll still be able to download the loops. What they won't be able to download at that point is archived loops.
Michael, can I ask a question about that?
Sure.
So I had, clearly I've been using .loop for like 12 years. So I had a lot of stuff in there. So all my loops that are archived will be pulled over as well. And so is that anything that's archived? Because I'm sure other people like myself would have like files, like buyers you may have worked with and didn't end up closing with you, but you may have had a buyer brokerage agreement signed. So all that'll come over as well too, correct?
Yeah, literally everything you create a loop for. I'm going to get some clarification on the archived versus unarchived, what they can get, but everything we saw came across fine.
Okay, great. Because I did have yeah. or maybe you worked with somebody on like 3 homes and they never, none of them
Right.
ever closed or something. And, but we may need to review that information at some point. So that's just a question, and you may not even have the answer, and you can, let us know. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm gonna get clarification and make sure, because I know they told me that after the termination date they wouldn't be able to get archived loops, but I'm gonna verify that they can get them now. And just otherwise you may have to unarchive this stuff, and that would be kind of time consuming.
Yeah, well, it's really not that bad. You just go in, I think, and hit unarchive, and boom, there they are. I believe that's the way it works.
Yeah, it's easy. It just kind of depends on how many you have. And then for Christina, she asked, do you have? So no, you don't have to put past documents into command unless you want to. But no, we don't need you to pull all this stuff into command.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I can stop sharing that screen. Just put this up there. Oh, where's the chat? Jeannie, I think if it's saying $10 a month, you may have a team account. Again, if you have a team account, it's probably worth the $10 a month to pull everything down. If the email hasn't come through, I would definitely check spam, because they're pretty quick. Sonny, I'll send you a link to it. If not, we can do one-on-one or something like that. What else did we have? Trying to think if there's anything. Just remember, we got 45 days, and then everything goes into DocuSign. I don't know if you continue to use .loop if you will have access to the GAR forms. I don't know if they'll keep loading. That's the question we keep getting. We don't know. We'll support DocuSign because that's what we're using internally. .loop, it's just, I don't know if the connection to import documents is still going to be there. I don't know what KW is going to continue to support. I think they're going to put most of their priorities towards DocuSign. So it's kind of going to be a download upload thing. Right. Any other questions? Sure, go ahead, Cheryl.
Yeah, 2 things. One, on the to answer the question that Jeannie was just asking, on the main page it says that the link to go with Google Drive is $10 a month.
Sorry, yeah. Google Drive is more expensive than than Dropbox.
But my question was, and I believe you stated this earlier. I just want to make sure I'm clear on what you stated.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that if we currently have a contract in progress in .loop and we do this procedure and everything moves over, we can still finish in .loop and it will automatically pull over the rest of everything?
So it'll pull over to Google Drive or Dropbox. It's not pulling in the command. This is pulling it locally to your computer. But yes, it will pull it locally. It will, as long as that sync is running, it will continue to pull down new documents.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that's what you said. I want to make sure I was clear on it. Thank you.
Yep. And their support is really good. Like, we actually ran into an issue and the guy called me back, actually called me within 15 minutes. So they're really good. If you have any problems, just submit a ticket. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I signed up for a new account with them earlier this morning. And so did anybody else have problems getting the email from API Nation? No? Okay. Allie, you have problems?
Yes.
Okay. Did it just not, it took a while to come, or it never came?
I didn't get the screen that you had shared with us. That you responded to my email.
Mhm.
I didn't screen when I went on the link that you had sent.
Okay.
I'll talk to you about it.
Anybody that had a problem, email me and I'll reach out to you directly. Because yeah, it seems like it's going to be like one-on-one kind of issues. All right. If nobody has any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and end this, and then I'll work on getting the recording up for everybody that came in late.
And how do we get to the recording, Michael?
I'll email you a link to it.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
See you.